All right, Trez, welcome back. Happy weekend. And Connor, thanks for joining us again as well.
Thank you, Scotty. How are you?
Well, episode 93, and I apologize, viewers, if I sound a little nasally. I've got a little bit of hay fever, but we're going to soldier on here. And it's Sunday, so it's good. We can see how things closed. And Connor brought this up with the Euro Swiss. We're on the daily time frame. And Connor, we didn't really discuss how you'd play this, but what would you be looking for sort of in detail? I think you discussed a kangaroo tail, but for you to want to take this trade with the trend line here, what would you like to see in particular?
Okay, so you've got what like a channel, if
Hmm.
if you will. You got the highs touching a trend line on an angle, and you got the lows on the trend line touching an angle.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, if it were to come back up, if you were to put, I've also got horizontal trend lines around about the 1.134 mark.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So to come up again and touch the not the horizontal trend line, the incline trend line, punch
Yeah.
through that on a kangaroo tail or a Pinocchio bar or whatever you want to go,
Mm.
go up, maybe hit the sort of 1.3, 1.38 mark, and then go back down to show that rejection through those two resistance lines.
Oh, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
be interested in perhaps taking that, Scotty, if I explained that well enough.
No, that was good. I was drawing them in there for the viewers
Yeah.
as well. So now, for the viewers who don't understand support and resistance, you really shouldn't be looking at live trading straight away. I'll put a link in the description section. Connor did a video on his channel. Check that out. So if you don't understand what support and resistance is, probably don't be looking at trading Euro Swiss next week on a live account. I would, really don't be doing that. So I'll put that in there as well. But yeah, so that's the level we probably will focus on. And the Euro Swiss isn't too bad. At the start of the week, the spreads are pretty wide, but the Euro Swiss isn't actually too bad um, for how you can execute a trade. Really, it's not too bad. It's not really. I mean, it's an exotic, but it's not like a real minor because the Euro is a big pair, the Swiss is a big pair, so it's not like
Yeah, it's a minor. I wouldn't say it's. I know what you mean. It's not an exotic. We're not. It's not.
yeah, a minor. Yeah, it's something a
Yes.
little more interesting, but
Yeah, but on a daily, I don't particularly care about those sorts of spreads. On a 4 hourly, different story. When you got to make
yeah,
up in 16 spreads, and you're going for 40, 45 pips.
yep,
Can be
yep.
a big. That can be a big thing that I've got stung on in the past. I remember at the start of the year I traded the Polish zloty.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah,
Talking about exotic pairs, and my analysis was right, but I didn't take into consideration it was 60 pips.
yeah. So
It came up.
yep,
Well, it didn't have to go up far to stop me out with that big deviation in the stop loss. So you've got to really be careful
yeah.
with these things.
That's right. I think that's a good lesson, guys, for people who sort of you really see a great setup, but there is a tendency for the spreads to widen so much. It's almost like, yeah, you just probably shouldn't, unless you want the stock really wide, and then you got to risk less, but you can trade them. Just be very, very careful of that. So, but yeah, so that's the Euro Swiss as a potential there. So again, you want to wait and see what next week brings. This week wasn't particularly great. Aussie yen was a short for me. It bounced back. I closed out pretty quickly, and then gold didn't really work out as well. But you know, Connor and I were discussing before we started recording with gold. It's certainly a different beast in regards to if you're used to trading the major currency pairs, then you go to gold. It's a little more different, and I hadn't done really much back testing on it either. I've done a little bit, but yeah, it was just something where it can roll over pretty quickly. Um, Even if you're trading on the 4 hour time frame and your stop losses at a normal point, it can you're a bit vulnerable there as well. So we'll see what the end of the year brings. I mean, I was apparently there's some developments with the trade war situation as well in China, and I think the Huawei woman that was arrested got released on bail as well in Canada. So that's looking like maybe that could be smoothing out a little bit because there was some tensions there that I saw. So, what's your take on the whole situation with the trade war, and is this going to just be a long running headache? And Donald Trump?
I mean, does anyone know what Trump is saying? Does anyone know what he is thinking? These things, he kind of changes his mind. The example and before he was all good with King Jong-un until he decided to tell him in capital letters on Twitter, yeah, stay away. What was it? It was something like that. And he's
yes. Yeah.
And I won't be afraid to do it. And then you're like, okay, so it's back on. Like credit to him. He's he was able to meet up with him and do some stuff. So there's some method to his madness. But at the moment, trade wars affect everyone. No, there's no winners in trade wars. So the fact that he's decided to start one, there could be some lagging economic effects that we're not aware of yet. So
yeah, that's true.
I'd still be a little bit bearish on my analysis fundamentally, but we'll see what goes on.
Exactly. So it's just a sit and wait thing, guys. If you see something pan out, if for a trade setup, if it's a good technical setup, it's probably worth taking. So, because that's how you would have back tested it. Now, so that's really the potential currency setups that we've got here. The Aussie dollar is not quite good enough yet, so we're going to let that go for now. So what I've got, I'll bring the Bitcoin chart up here. Did you get that up as well, Connor? You see the devastation that's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just touch briefly on this. I think it's become a bit of a thing where the reason why we do talk about it is because it's really on the cliff edge again to potentially roll over some more. So, especially it was like I went to that prop firm and it was 6,500, and all the guys get paid in Bitcoin, and so they've lost half their coin wallet value in since late September. So I don't know how you'd be feeling.
Even if they're trading well, they could be losing money.
Yeah, isn't that a conundrum? So you get paid Bitcoin and you have to work out you have to exchange it, and I think it's like 8% to exchange it Aussie dollar. That's what the fee is. So that's a bit unpleasant. So, but if they're they're selling, because we trade the BitMEX future contracts, so you can obviously short it, but if you're doing that, you still it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because you actually your Bitcoin wallet is losing money because it's worth less.
Yeah.
So that's
interesting payment system.
Yeah. It's not. Yes, it is. Yeah.
I believe it's on the way to $200.
Yep. You've heard it first, everyone. So I think that's fair. 200, and then it requires a real mass adoption.
200 US. Yeah.
It just requires mass adoption, and it's still not really.
The only people who are going to adopt it are drug dealers, terrorists, those sorts of people who want to be buying illegal things off the internet. So it will have, but that's not to say won't have any value.
That's true. Yeah, I think you determined that it did when you went and you had a look around. Yeah, there is potential there.
Yeah, unless something comes out that's like totally anonymous, and apparently they're working on those sorts of things all the time. But still, it still seems to be the brand gets it by a lot.
Yes.
And people say the technology's outdated nowadays, but people still use it almost as their US dollar, and that's the power currency that they compare it to with the crypto. So
and we'll have a brief touch upon equity markets as well. We've got a little bit of time. I'll bring in the Dow Jones. See, obviously Connor and I, we're not, we don't trade equities, but it's always good just to branch out and have a look at what is going on, just to get some sentiment in the market. So I've got the monthly chart up, and it's down 2%. And we're actually at yearly lows. Where we're pretty much 24,000 flat on the Dow Jones Index. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And It's a good little social psychology picture here because you'll see if investors really want to. But I think you mentioned kind of, I don't know if it was on air or off air last couple of weeks about people just selling, because it's Christmas, which is valid. So I mean, we haven't seen a panic sell. It's just been obviously the natural ebbs and flows. So we'll see what January and February. We'll see what that brings, and interest rates. I think that decision's Wednesday next week as well. If the Fed, we'll see if the Fed wants to raise rates again. So, but they probably have to because inflation's going up. So yeah, and we've discussed the debt situation in America as well. It's
Yeah, it's not good. They'll probably start another. If interest rates go up, it could be quite dangerous with $21 trillion in debt.
Yes. Oh dear. Well, the party has to come to an end eventually. So
Yeah.
For the people who you just need to be prepared a little bit for people watching this, and you can't just. I mean, on the yearly chart is very interesting on Dow Jones now. That's sort of telling, and that looks very bearish now. So, but we'll see. And that's it from me. Connor, was there anything just to add?
No, that was great.
And no trades for you this week as well, which was smart. So if you don't see anything, guys, in your setups, in your playbook, just don't trade. All right? Stay safe. And Connor, thanks for joining us again as well.
Thank you, Scotty. Take care.